life so happy. DJ, my life, a life. My just life. She always never give up the fight. I go on and on and on.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, then 70 minutes after 8 o'clock in the morning time as we continue with live today's commentary. Live?
Yes. So it's a very interesting discussion, right? These things are very hard to explain to some. And I choose my words very carefully, right? It's kind of it's hard to really explain to get people to really understand, certain things when it comes to the English language, right? But the page, I think we could easily more understand the patriotic part of it now. What we supposed to say, right? Basically, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is one country. We know how it goes already. I can remember like going to the Grenadines for Easter, Beckwith specifically, where we would hear people who live there say, what are they coming down here for? I don't know if you have experienced that. Like, we're coming down here for.
I lived in Canada for 9 months. I lived and worked in Canada for 9 months. And one of the things that I could say is that it felt different. St. Vincent itself, the island, felt different and far removed from the Grenadines. So sometimes when it is, when I hear persons from the Grenadines speak as if, and it was only maybe like 2 years ago, I realized that Grenadines persons don't appreciate, or some of them don't appreciate hearing the word mainland, but we touched on that already. Sometimes for those in the Grenadines, they feel removed from St. Vincent itself. So, and having lived there, I understood it because, even to get like news and that type of thing or what's happening, even leaving Canada and coming up to St. Vincent, the topography was just different and everything. So yeah, it felt like a whole different country by itself. Being down there felt different.
Why is it that St. Vincent is not the mainland?
Is the use of the word mainland?
Yeah, they
just the use of the word mainland.
Main, because in their mind, they are the main. They are the main in their mind. We are the main in our mind. So just avoid it. Avoid it totally. Just avoid it totally.
Yeah, it's St. Vincent. Yeah.
Vincent, you're going to St. Vincent. Say, I'm going to St. Vincent. Not I'm going to the mainland. They get offended. Like they get offended by that. You know what I mean? I can remember. I
remember when I was in the U.S. Virgin Island. Remember they have St. John, St. Thomas, and St. Croix. So they always tell me St. Thomas is the mainland.
So I think some countries, because
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Life. I think that's a delay with us, but go ahead.
Maybe they're not as touchy as us. Maybe the dynamics different. Maybe the dynamics different. Maybe they don't look down on one another, or maybe they don't have, the kind of undertones of we being better than them because we come from what we consider the mainland. Because there's some undertones of that from some people, right? You know what I mean? I had made a few years ago. I had made a comment on another radio station about people from Beckwith being weighed, right? And people from Beckwith call me and say, "Don't come back down here," right? But I didn't.
As they should.
I had made a comment and it created a lot of controversy and discussion and a lot of people felt that they could use that description also because of certain things they experience, right? It's always a touchy topic. I can remember one time I was looking for someone to stay for Easter, and I called Beckwith. I just called a random number for Airbnb. I saw in the what you call it? The I forget what you call it, directory. Because I forget the word directory because we don't even use directory no more. We just Google everything. So I call a random number, I saw the directory, and the lady was like, "Where you coming from? St. Vincent?" I was like, "Yes." Is she? Well, you just can't just call and try to book just so. You understand? So I was like, why? Because we don't take certain people. What's your name? Right? She was very upfront like that. People. She was like, "What's your name?" So I told her my name, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, you could come. Use one of we. Use a Compton. Use a Compton. Compton is from the Grenadines. You could come. Use one of we." So I was wondering if I had said something like Williams. You know what I mean? She would have told me, "No, I can't get the place." You understand? She was like, "Oh, Compton. You use one of we. Compton is from the Grenadines. You could come." You know what I mean? So it's not just one-sided where certain people from St. Vincent from the you see I can't use mainland again from St. Vincent may say, "Oh, Grenadines people this and Grenadines people that." They also some of them also look at us as, "Yo, they're weird people. When they come from the mainland, they're weird, you know. They do this and they do that, you know. We don't really want them here." You know what I mean? So I think it had to be it's not something that we could change very easily. Something that we could change at all. Maybe we can change it in the younger people, you know what I mean? But as the initial discussion was, it's always important to always say St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because if you just say St. Vincent or you just say the Grenadines, you're not referring to the same thing. It's only when it's St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you're referring to the entire country and the entire chain of islands. You can't just say St. Vincent in trying to reference the entire chain of islands. You know what I mean?
That was a thing that I noted, particularly when we did some interviews with, at that time, political candidates. And it always struck me, and to this day, even when I hear ministers say St. Vincent and they're making reference to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it always stands out to me, because if there's one set of people who are supposed to be saying St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it's them, right? One of the other things that I always also encourage is that whenever we are overseas, like as a student at U, we are, all right, let me finish my thoughts. Take the call. Hi, caller, good morning.
Thank you, Roleza. I'll be very quick. There's one other thing in the discussion, and it is coming out very clearly here this morning, that my friend from Beckley always draw to my attention. We speak about the Grenadines as though the Grenadines is one place. So we were listening to whatever, and we hear something took place in the Grenadines. That doesn't make a lot of sense, you know.
It's interesting.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. Because in that same thing that you're reading, they would say something took place in Greg's or in Georgetown or in Stubbs. It took place in Union Island, and we say the Grenadines. In Beckway, we say the Grenadines. Yeah. And that point that you guys made mention of, respect to how different it is in the various islands, is not simply Canada versus St. Vincent. It's Canada versus Beckway in terms of how different they are. Each island, it has a completely different feel when you get there.
It's for real. It's for real.
When you go to Beckway, it's different to Mustique, and both of them are different to Canada and Union Island, etc. It's completely different.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just the things that I'm having to sit and think on this morning. Okay.
And then with respect to the how far they are removed from us, Roleza, you're absolutely correct. I had to spend a week in Union Island 2 years ago, just before burial. And you got absolutely no on-air broadcast from St. Vincent. Absolutely none. I was only able to follow the local radio stations via the internet. So it is not coincidental, it's not an accident that the folks from the Grenadines, from the various islands, but more so as you go further south, feel so far removed from St. Vincent. And in many instances, if not all, feel closer to Grenada than to St. Vincent. The final thing I would say from Beckway, never say they're coming to St. Vincent. They're always coming to town.
To town? Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking mainland. They're going up to the mainland.
You see, they don't like to use mainland. They don't like to use mainland.
Mainland would suggest that St. Vincent is more important
than them. Yeah, they don't like it. It's a serious thing. Some of them don't like it. They go in tongue,
more important than Beckway. So they're justified in my mind for not wanting to use the word mainland. But we can argue with them again also that if they're going to Georgetown, they would say they're going to town. But I understand why. But they never say they're going to St. Vincent, they say they're going to town.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Mr. Weeks.
One time I was in Beckway and I said we were speaking to we were in a group with some people who live there, and we say we go in town, but we didn't mean Port Elizabeth. So it's like, oh, I get in town now. There's no boat to carry all your tongue. You know, they say every port is a tongue. But interesting, right? Someone just messaged me, right? They say, okay, you know, we have St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we have St. Kitts and Nevis, and we have Trinidad and Tobago. The pastor says, Kittians don't say mainland like that either. They think it's a big offense because there's always this feeling of silent competition of which people are better, St. Kitts people or Nevis people. Even in TNT, when I was studying there, I hear reference made to Trinidad versus Tobago. It's like a sense of belonging and identity that needs to be protected.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was one of the points Ms. Bowman made also. She said she don't think it's any like type of segregation that exists specifically in student salons. It's a worldwide thing.
Okay, like for that point, please.
We have a call. Hello, morning.
Good morning, Maka. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah. One thing of the Grenadines people are very independent. And I don't think that they're proud to be part of St. Vincent. You know, it's not something that they cherish to say, well, okay, the mainland, and they associate with St. Vincent. I don't think so.
You don't think that they're proud to be associated with?
Especially when you go to United Island, they prefer to be part of Grenada more than St. Vincent. I don't know why.
And you know, Carriacou prefer to be a part of St. Vincent and Grenada. That's something I went to Carriacou, and that's something I noticed too. They don't refer to themselves as Grenadians, a lot of them.
Yeah, but the people of the Grenadines really is that proud to be associated with the mainland. When they stay over in the Grenadines and they hear all their mothers over there, it's like, oh my God, what happened over there? It's like this, there's somewhere else. You know?
Yeah, definitely. So, that's true.
When they come to Beckway for excursion and Easter time, they can't wait for the league to go back up. They say, what are coming away down here from? It's a while, you know, and how they carry on so on. They're not proud, really not proud to be part of it.
If you don't mind me asking, are you caller?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind me asking, are you calling from one of the Grenadine Islands?
Beckway.
Okay, all right, just okay.
Live, how you doing, man?
I good. As one of you, remember, as one I'm from Beckway, and I'm Beckway, man. Hey.
Caller, when you coming up to St. Vincent, what you say? Coming up to town or mainland?
Nah, see, I'm going to talk tomorrow now. I'm going to talk tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
listen.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Oh, what,
Okay.
what
All
I
right.
tell you,
Thanks,
All
Scholar.
right, take care.
So,
Bye-bye.
when I
Bye.
had made, when I had made the comment, boy, I got banned from back when they say you don't come, you live Cont'd, don't come back down here, don't come back down here. You know what I mean? The people them see as they bad me. You know what I mean? It's just the last name saved me.
Yeah.
But as I was saying,
I think it's the last name is right. Yeah.
yeah. So as I was saying, Miss Bowman was saying that is no unique divisiveness in St. Vincent. It exists like all over, right? But because we want to know what happens in St. Kitts, Nevis, and Trinidad and Tobago, but as this person said, it's the same in St. Kitts and Nevis and the same in Trinidad and Tobago, where like people are very proud where they come from. But I think this whole divisiveness come from politics. I think it's the politics, the decision to split the Grenadines into northern and southern Grenadines. I never understood why that was done. You know?
So I think it's politics, yes, but I think a little bit more ties into it. So, but we have somebody on the line. Wizzy, morning.
Morning, like Maka,
Morning.
Roleza. I just want to divert slightly on something I saw on Facebook yesterday regarding the CPL, recently concluded CPL games. There was a masked man, I assume, or someone connected with mass, venting his disgust at what took place as it relates to the costumes which were being displayed as part of the halftime show, whatever it was. And I was very surprised to hear him say that none of those costumes were built, made in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And in a further conversation with someone regarding that same issue, I was further told that a couple of the mass bands, which are the more expensive mass bands, I'm not going to call names, their costumes are sometimes almost, they are imported, and when you pay for one of those costumes, you get it in a box.
Yeah.
That, I didn't even know that, because I know in my time back in when masqueraders collecting the costumes before Mardi Gras, they collecting that the day before, the night before, and you could see them walking down the town with the headpiece, the standards, etc., etc. But the point I want to make is, even though we wanted to showcase that type of mass, it's nowhere. This is the problem, and we always talk about forgetting where we came from. It's nowhere are we trying to kill off the authentic carnival costumes, that you have a stage to showcase to the world aspects of Vinci Mass. We had the entertainment, and we have the dancers, and we have the mass, but we forget about the original costumes. And I don't know which department was responsible for putting that particular segment of that package together, but that certainly has been an oversight. And if it's the Ministry of Tourism, I heard them say they want to have more of these games. That needs to be corrected. And I'll listen to the feedback of it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Wizzy.
Yeah. You see, a lot of people look at the nuances of these things, right? Because of the international reach, right? But with the people who putting it in the package, looking at the attractiveness of the females in the costumes, not so much so the culture aspect of where the costumes come from.
We have a call on the line. Hello, morning.
Morning. Yes, before the gentleman cut in there, and I heard you making a wonderful statement. I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, and since everything,
You all have the concept. So we have a different concept to Trinidad. They speak different language, you know.
Yep.
But here, you're finding what you're doing. I support you because in the days gone by, a little more going up in St. Vincent. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I talk about project, and I speak on the project, Mr. J. Mitchell, who called that, who tried to separate the mainland from the Grenadines. History could tell you about it. History could tell you about how they had the division between the mainland and the Grenadines. Because when he say he want to train, he come back to the same constitution. So and go down, that was they never vote. They say one day in voting because that's the legacy that said. And up to today, they still can't get over it.
Yeah.
But I didn't ask myself when I growing up, they say what could belong to St. Vincent. No, say I could belong to Grenada. I know Kayaku and so on. So something I get into between the line because everybody going on to Kayaku. Who find me in language to Kayaku and because still have people living there. So what the point that you're making? Politics come into the Grenadines usually will be one seat, you know. One seat. Mr. Mitchell changed it about two. So the point you are making before you come in with the map, you continue on a list. If you want to study history, say don't change my constitution. Because you they get through. So Mr. separated from the Grenadines. That's my contribution, brother.
All right, thank you. All right, and in a part of history, what somebody could clarify me if I'm correct with this, but a part of history, I think, life, that union, I think, tried to annex themselves from St. Vincent, I think. Back then, somebody could confirm if that, but I think that's what I remember. Yeah. Life. All right, life.
In the meantime, we have a call on the line. Hello, morning.
Morning, Maka.
Morning, Fitz.
Roleza.
Morning.
One of your famous callers.
It's okay, go ahead.
Morning, Fitz. You know, when I listen to this conversation about Beckway and the Grenadines, this marks us insularity, and in every neighboring village in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you will find insularity. I remember the days when I grew up in South Rivers. We couldn't go Park Hill. We used to stay by the undermine and pelt stone or something, you know. You couldn't pass a certain boundary like as a line in the ground. You can't pass there. I'm sure it happens in many villages in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And what's happening between mainland and St. Vincent is insularity. It's happening in cricket, where the Winner Island players don't feel that they get the best of the deal when it comes to picking selecting a West Indies team. It happens in politics where people feel, boy, St. Vincent ain't got no saying this because we're smaller than the other islands and stuff like that. And that insularity started when they had the most developed, they went from most developed countries to third world countries, and it's a worldwide thing, you know, where they put people in brackets and you think that some people are more important than others because they make more money or they have a bigger population, etc., etc. So I think it's healthy debate, you know. It's healthy for people in the Grenadines to feel a little more insular. People in St. Vincent feel a little more insular than the people in Grenadines. But you know, at the end of the day, we all have to find a way to get along and respect each other's boundaries, you know? So I just wanted to introduce that whole aspect of insularity. And it's not only between St. Vincent and the Grenadines people, or mainland and the Grenadines. It happens in every village. Roleza, I'm sure you know that it happens in Richland. Where are you from, Richland Park?
Me? Richland Park? No.
It just sounds like a Richland Park force. You see insularity again. I pigeonhole you out to a Richland Park force. Anyway, just so that's my two cents.
Strategy by
Life? Okay, thanks, Fitz. All right. Life?
Seems like we have a delay with life.
Yeah, we have a delay, and I think it right. One of the other things that I was going to make in relation to this is that I tend to find that even for us as those residing or who come from St. Vincent, when we're overseas and we're speaking about where we come from, we make it seem as if it's so difficult to spend an extra 2 or 3 seconds to say and the Grenadines, right? Because even with some of the artists who we see representing us, I've seen the change now, I've seen the improvement now, But some of them, when they're asked where they come from, they just say St. Vincent. So of course, persons internationally or regionally, if you hear that these celebrities or our artists or those persons who have a voice in terms of speaking and representing for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, if you ask them where they come from, they're just saying St. Vincent. Of course, persons are just in the region and international just going to repeat it by just saying St. Vincent.
Most of the time when you go travel and someone asks, where you from? Where you say?
I say St. Vincent and the Grenadines because I know it's wrong
Most bosses say St. Vincent. I'm from St. Vincent.
Yeah. So because of that, even the other day I was looking at this show, Reggae Land in the UK about 2 weekends ago. And somebody had so since it's Saturday, I looking for the Vinci flag, So I finally saw the flag on Sunday morning. But when it is I saw the flag, somebody who had up like one of these bandanas, it just had St. Vincent on it. There was no and the Grenadines on the flag. So, even in those little things, like this is being promoted, this is being shown internationally. But the flag only had St. Vincent on it. But that's not my country. My country is St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I was happy to see the diamonds, the flag with the 3 diamonds, but the wording was incorrect, incomplete. So, yeah. Life? I think we have another issue here with Life. Let's call him via WhatsApp, all right? So, listen, just bear with us. Oh, wait, you're coming in something else. Hold on. Life?
Yeah, you hear me now?
No, I'm not hearing you properly. You're low. You're very low.
You hear me better now?
All right, listen, just bear with us a moment.
A little bit
better now? Well, very interesting discussion this morning, right? I didn't know it would take off like that. I didn't know the discussion would take off like that. Very interesting discussion, right? But I have to go now, so I guess we could continue it next day. I hope we can.
Okay, cool.
Next day, right? Because I wanted to touch on the issue at the hospital. You hear me, right?
Yeah, what issue specifically at the hospital, though? Life, we're not hearing you. Not hearing you. All right, so we are going live.
You hearing me now?
Not hearing you at all. No.
Yeah, the issue. What about now? You hearing me now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the issue with the strain of bacteria that is at the hospital right now, the strain.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, very interesting discussion this morning, right? It opened my eyes to a lot of things. Right? Yeah. So you all enjoy the rest of the day. Maybe we could continue this discussion tomorrow. And so I have to go.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Because the technology, when the technology start acting up, that means you have time to go.
I know. And it's interesting when it chooses to act up, but we know we're supposed to end. All right.
Smartphone, right?
All right, have a good one. Yeah. All right, so have a good one, and we'll see you in the morning. Take care.
Yeah, take care.
And that brings us to the end of our segment for today. This is Activated Mornings here on WEFM.
Nothing else sounds as good as WEFM.